5 years ago, I made a documentary about the devastating impact of crystal meth. The Webb family, their eldest son, Aaron, had been addicted to crystal meth for several years. And when I was filming him, he was in pretty bad shape. Years have passed, and I'm curious about what happened to Aaron and his family, and I'm on my way to find out.
Listeners, right now, we are on the line with Aaron Thomas Webb, who was in the documentary Aftermath, a family story that screened in Hope, November 1st at the Hope Theater, and having its screening this week, Tuesday night on the Knowledge Network, 9 p.m., and then again, probably at midnight. You should check the schedule again. The rescreening, re-airing of Aftermath will probably be at midnight Tuesday night, but the first screening is 9 p.m. Aaron, thank you so much to be willing to sit down and do this interview with us.
No problem.
This documentary was shot over how many years?
2 years, I believe.
It follows your whole family. Just mentioned your sister Amber, your brothers Kelly, Kyler, and then your parents Michelle and Ray. Yeah, actually, this is the second documentary because there was actually a first one. Eva Wonderman filmed the documentary, the first documentary, and that first documentary that she filmed, it focused mostly on you at the time. You were heavily into your addiction with crystal meth. That actually turned your life around when you actually got a chance to see that first documentary after it was complete.
Yeah, it didn't turn my life around. I was the one who turned my life around, but it was only because I saw it how I was. You know, I got the chance to step outside of myself and look at what an idiot I was, you know. I didn't have a hard life. My mother made sure that we had everything we needed, and I was just a drug addict, you know. And it was just getting harder and harder to be a drug addict. And then when I saw the actual way I was like, wow, that's definitely not who I want to be. So I made the change.
You were really confronted with the reality of how it was affecting everyone else in your family, like your parents and then your brothers and sisters. A lot of people don't realize, though, how this addiction, a drug addiction, with one person in a family, how it has a negative external effect on everyone else. How old were you when you first started using meth? Kind of marijuana was kind of the gateway drug into meth.
No, marijuana wasn't the gateway drug for me. I smoked pot, but I wasn't a huge pot smoker, and I'd heard all this stuff about meth, and I was like, oh, well, I got to try that. So I lied to somebody and said I'd done it before, and then I was able to try it, and yeah, I loved it. It was like the best thing.
The path you took to this drug, the substantial reason for trying meth wasn't to numb your pain to some issue that was bothering you. It was
no.
It was recreation. As a recreation, something to try something new.
Mm-hmm. And then after time, I had to do it to be normal, you know. From using it for so long, I couldn't function if I wasn't on it. You know what I mean?
I appreciate you being really candid, as I'm sure the listeners do, about your personal issues with your addiction. Give us an idea how expensive is this habit, meth, and what does it do to you? Like, we hear about pot, how it makes you hungry after, and we also hear, like, through word of mouth, how physically your body deteriorates with meth.
Yeah. Like it makes you like wide awake, and you can focus on anything up to a point, right? So if you you won't be able to sleep, and after staying up for one night, your ability to focus drastically disappears, and then 2 nights it's like totally gone, and then you just start, the sleep deprivation kicks in, but you don't notice it, right? Because you're high on meth, so you still have energy and you can still go and like keep doing stuff. And then once you crash and you'll sleep for a long time.
Yeah, it's great to hear, Aaron, that you're doing well. You know, you have a great job. You're a carpenter, and saw the clips on the website after Meth. You got a nice little Land Rover there you drive.
Yeah, I actually just got rid of that, and I bought a brand new Jeep.
Okay, yeah, awesome.
A couple months ago.
Yeah, and really into your music. And speaking of your music, in the second documentary that Eva made recently, Eva Wonderman, the one that screened in Hope and is screening on the Knowledge Network this week, after Meth, your music is in this film. Yeah,
my original music was in the first film as well, and then she used it again for Aftermath, and then the band that I was in, she also used. They featured our CD release show that we did on there, and some of Intertwine's music as well.
Yeah, you must have been ecstatic. Did you approach Eva, or she kind of asked you if you wanted to have your music in the film, in the documentary?
She asked me.
What was that like? Creating this music for the film. Did you have to see the documentary first before you laid the tracks down?
No, I had written all the songs prior to, and then she just liked them and said that they'd be perfect for the film. So I said, go ahead. Your
guitar riffs really fit the tone, the rhythm of the film. Just watching the trailers, good choices that you made.
Thanks.
Yeah, so this documentary, the second one that Eva did about your family after Meth, a family story, this focuses on the rest of your family, whereas the first one focused on you mostly. So Eva catches up with you, and she finds out you're doing very well. But there's other issues that have happened, progressed since the last documentary.
Yeah, well, what happened when Eva contacted me, again, I hadn't spoken to her in years, and it was nice to hear from her, and she was telling me that she wanted to do a follow-up to the original documentary, and I was like, okay, great. And she got a hold of my mom, and by this time, my mother, her husband had left her, and she lost her job, and yeah, she'd started using cocaine, and yeah, she just went downhill. She lost her house, she lost everything. Like, she went a little crazy, and tried to kill herself. So that was pretty rough. Like, it was a pretty hard time, because I'd been clean for several years already, and to see my mother going down that path was just a complete shock. I just couldn't understand it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And yeah, and my brother Kyler, like, my mother cleaned up, and then all of a sudden my brother Kyler starts using meth, and then, like, it was just retarded. I couldn't believe it. So he's doing a lot better now too. He's off it, and he just had a baby, and yeah.
You didn't even understand why this was happening, because you've been off meth for years.
Honestly, it was just karma for me. Like, all of a sudden, it was like, okay, now you're doing really good, and like, okay, well, this is what you did to everybody else. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I had to deal with like the same things they had to deal with too.
Then, as the roles reversed, what kind of a burden does it become, you know, physically, mentally, having now to take care of your family members and help them through their addictions?
I wouldn't necessarily call it a burden. It never really felt like a burden. It felt like...
I should not use that word, sorry.
No, it's fine. That's what most people would use it as. But yeah, I never thought of it as a burden. It was like a purpose, you know? It was like, this is my mission in life now, all of a sudden. And it was like, everything else didn't matter. And it was, you know, it was like, we're going to take care of these... I'm going to take care of these people that I love, you know, no matter what. And whatever I had to do, I was willing to do it. because it's my family. I love them. Like I couldn't live without them. I couldn't have gotten to where I am today if it wasn't for my mother. Like she's always there for me, even when I was just messed right up. And I'm definitely not about to turn my back on anybody I love, anybody I even know. Nobody deserves that kind of treatment, especially since I had been blessed with them being there for me and having my back throughout my entire addiction.
Yeah, people can see in the documentary how resilient your mother, your parents were, and helping you through your addiction, helping your other siblings. Yeah, they never gave up. Going back to how you got off your addiction, you seen the first documentary that Eva did on your family. You just realized how it affected everyone else in your family, and you decided to make a conscious choice to change. Mm-hmm. So, addiction. What's the first step? Like, it's making the conscious choice that you want to get off it. So it's not like somebody can convince you. You have to make your own decision and then decide from there how you're going to deal with it. How you're going to.
Yeah, nobody can tell you. Like, oh, you're going to do this. Nobody can especially tell me. Like, if somebody tries to tell me something, and I'm like, oh, right away, I'm just like, oh yeah, you think so, eh? Well, this is how it's going to be, Some people are susceptible to that. I'm definitely not one of those people, but it has to come from within. You have to want to do it. You know what I mean? You can't just expect it to happen. Like when I finally made the choice, I was at the end of my rope, man. Like I had no hope for myself. And I'm sure nobody had any hope for me either. Like there was, even Eva says in the documentary, she's like, she couldn't believe because the last time she saw me, there was no way I was going to end up how I ended up. And she was just shocked.
How much gratification has it given you when other people have connected to your story and are struggling with addictions?
It's usually family members or, friends and stuff that come up and say like, wow, thank you very much. You helped my friend or this and that. And it's like, it's great. It's a great feeling because I did this whole thing with no reason. I had no purpose. I didn't even think about anybody else but myself when I did the original one. And then afterwards I was like, wow, maybe I helped somebody. And I was like, that's pretty cool. And then doing this aftermath one, I thought, hey, maybe if people see this, they can see, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and to not give up,
Yeah, it's definitely a story that a lot of people out there struggling with addiction are going to connect with, and seeing the end result, a very positive result. You've turned your life around. Other families have turned their life around and overcome this. It's definitely going to have a positive influence with people out there, and because you see the whole arc of what people were dealing with and what they are probably dealing with now, and then to see that there is a positive outcome and see that they can overcome this addiction.
I've spoken with an addictions counselor who wants to do meetings or have me come and talk to people who are struggling with addiction. So I'm going to be doing that, and I'll be posting that on the Webb Family Ties website where if people want to come and sit in. I don't understand. I don't really see how it's going to help. Like some people, it'll help some people. Other people will just be like, oh, this is bogus. But just to do something to try and keep it going. Pay it forward. I was lucky enough to survive it. And maybe if I can help other people, that'd be pretty sweet.
Oh yeah. It's great what you're doing, and how this film is going to impact a lot of people in a positive way. Aaron, thanks so much for taking the time to do this interview.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you very much.